So there's a confrontation. There is going to be a situation. People are going to get hurt, and one of those people most very likely could be you. So I think knowing how to deal with that is important, you know?
Or worse, it could be somebody that's in your charge that now you have to take care of.
Right.
And I would hate to be that guy that a loved one died because I was too incompetent to be able to do something about it if I could. So I mean, how many active shooter events where people, I believe, have bled out because it takes a while before the scene is declared clear and EMS can come in. But if you're stuck in that area, being able to control bleeding, I think, is key. I think that's a really important one. And both the bleeding control and the CPR are prerequisites or part of the wilderness first aid that we started talking about.
Yeah, CPR is always a prerequisite to just about any first aid type course, or is included in any first aid type course.
Or it should be, right?
Yeah, the bleeding control not as much, though in wilderness first aid we do get into that topic, whereas other first aid courses, some of the more clinical stuff that you find will not. And I guess this is where you and I kind of separated ourselves a little bit. We do have courses specifically for hiking and specifically for boaters. Being down here in Florida, you know, this is something we deal with all day long. Boaters, boaters, boaters. There isn't a place around. There isn't a piece of water in Florida that there isn't some kind of boat in or on. You know, so we developed the course with our certifying body, American Safety and Health, and then of course we looked at some other stuff from Patty and Dan, which are certified diving bodies, as well as the U.S. Coast Guard and Coast Guard Auxiliary. And we developed a really great first aid course, certified first aid course, but it's very much designed for the boating community or anybody who's in and around the ocean and the water. And then we did the exact same thing in similar fashion with hiking. And the hiking course, a lot of the stuff that's covered in our wilderness first aid course is covered in our hiking course, but the hiking course is more informational.
Well, since I come from a world where I'm more involved with hiking than I am with boating, I found the boater's first aid course particularly eye-opening, and largely because of my ignorance of that world. But I was really amazed at how many things I took, because I've been on boats plenty, just not a boater. It's not my passion, but I've been on boats plenty, and there was things that you taught that I was surprised that I wasn't aware of. I was disappointed that I wasn't aware of. And I was ecstatic to have learned them because it's a very real possibility. I mean, simple things that we don't think about, like with the
I'll fill in for you.
When the generator is going, what do you call that?
The carbon monoxide.
The carbon monoxide, exactly.
Carbon monoxide is a big problem with boating.
Or boaters' fatigue from the ride.
Boaters' fatigue from the ride is another thing. A lot of people don't give that as much credit as it deserves. Another big myth out here is hypothermia. People think, hey, I'm in sunny South Florida where it's always, 80 or 100 degrees depending on what time of the year you're in. And they don't realize that water, though it's refreshing and it's nice and still kind of sometimes warm, can be a little soupy. Long enough exposure to it, you're going to get hypothermia.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was on that hike years ago in Big Cypress, and we were out. This was January 3rd. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. We were in a wide open area, and a real light drizzle came by, and a cold front came in right after it. And here I am in the middle of Florida, in Big Cypress, and all of a sudden I'm shivering, and I'm thinking to myself, this might not be a good thing. And fortunately, we took with us what we needed, but that was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
That was an eye-opener.
It happens a lot. Listen, I can't stress enough, having the sets of skills that we're talking about right now, even if you don't hone them every day, you don't practice, this is not what we do. Well, not us, but I'm saying general people might be taking with us, because it's not necessarily what you do for a living. But having the skill set is going to give you that extra little bit of knowledge that you're going to find real useful in the strangest of moments. And if nothing else, in just the way you're going to react to a situation. You mentioned earlier, I do a lot of work with scouts, and I do a lot of work with young scouts. And I lead them on, field trips and hikes and stuff like that. And for the sake of the kids, we try to get, to some really nice hikes and get onto some deep areas and Everglades and areas that are not exactly, easy terrain to deal with.
No.
And you know, kids fall down, they goofing around, they don't always follow the rules, and they get themselves into little trouble, and they get hurt. We had an incident not long ago, and you know, kid cut himself open pretty good with a branch, and you know, parents, you see other people, they start to freak out. There's a lot of blood, but because I probably do this more than most people do, it was on the eyebrow. I know eyebrows bleed a lot. Yes, he had a pretty good gash. Yes, he did need stitches. It wasn't a little thing, but we were able to take care of it quickly, efficiently, clean him up, bandage him up enough to stop the bleeding, and casually and calmly get ourselves back and then get him to proper care. You know, without freaking out. You know, and I think that's where I think a lot of people would benefit from stuff.